Obalende straight. Lekki, enter with your change, oh.
Felix had never been to Lagos before. He had just graduated from the university in Enugu, carrying his small box and his NYSC khaki bag. His friend, Chibuzo, had been calling him to come to Lagos, saying there was more hustle in the city, more opportunities, and that Lagos never slept. When Felix came down from the bus at Ojota Motor Park, the noise of Lagos hit him immediately. Horns, shouts, sellers calling, aboros dragging passengers, conductors hanging by bus doors shouting different destinations.
Obalende straight. Lekki, enter with your change, oh.
A conductor screamed, slapping the Danfu with his hand. Felix turned and saw his friend Chibuzo, tall, dark, with sweat glistening on his forehead, hanging by the door of a yellow Danfu bus. Chibuzo was dressed in a rough polo shirt, jeans, and bathroom slippers, one hand clinging to the bus, the other waving at passengers. "Felix! Nwanem!" Chibuzo shouted when he saw him. He jumped down from the bus, slapped Felix on the back, and hugged him. "Welcome to Lagos, my brother. I told you Lagos is where the hustle is." Chibuzo introduced him quickly to the driver, a thick-set man everyone called Oga Sunday. The man wore a cap tilted sideways and had an impatient look, as though the whole world was too slow for him. "May a brother be dis?" Oga Sunday asked in Yoruba-accented English. "Yes, Oga. Na Felix, my guy." "Okay, if you want to learn the work, you go follow us. Lagos no day wait for anybody," Oga Sunday said, already honking the horn. The bus jerked forward, and Chibuzo jumped back to his spot at the door, shouting,
Osho oju elegba. Enter with your change, oh.
Felix squeezed himself onto the long wooden seat inside the Danfu. The bus smelled of sweat, dust, and engine oil. He watched his friend in action. Chibuzo dragged passengers inside, shouted at Okada riders, fought aboros who wanted to collect Owoile, land fee, and kept shouting until his voice grew hoarse. "Conductor, na 100 I day go shoddy, you talk saying a 70. A passenger shouted from the back. Chibuzo turned sharply. "Oga, I beg no disturb meo. I done shout him since. If you no want go, come down, enter another motor." The quarrels began. Another passenger complained about sitting space. Someone shouted that the bus should stop. Oga Sunday, the driver, ignored them all, pressing horn, swerving left and right, as if the whole road belonged to him alone. Felix sat quietly, eyes wide, taking in the madness of Lagos Danfu life. He watched how Chibuzo collected crumpled Nira notes, counted change with one hand, shouted with another, and still managed to hang on to the bus door as it sped through Ikorodo Road. "Enter quick! Nobody waste my time! Oh, shoddy straight, we day go! Madame, shift inside door, what didn't you day do for door?" Chibuzo shouted at another woman trying to squeeze in. The woman cursed back. "Madame, I beg, sit down, make we day go. You two day talk." Felix couldn't believe the heat, the shouting, the quarrels. It was like another world. But in the middle of the madness, he felt something stirring inside him. Excitement. When the bus finally stopped at Oshodi, passengers rushed down, still arguing. Chibuzo jumped down, slapped Felix on the shoulder, and grinned. "Nwanem, how you see Lagos?" Felix laughed nervously. "This place now wah? But I dey like him small. They moved to the side to load another round of passengers. Chibuzo handed over the money to Oga Sunday, who counted it carefully, his sharp eyes watching Felix. For now, he thought it was just hustle and survival. He didn't know there was another side to this business. A darker side he was yet to discover.
The sun had already set when Oga Sunday parked the Danfo at a corner near Maltu Bridge. The bus hissed as the engine cooled, and the traffic noise was still thick in the air. Felix climbed down, his body aching from sitting and watching the madness of Lagos traffic all day. "Chibuzo, where will they go?" Felix asked, dragging his small box and bag. "Relax, my guy, we dey go house. Na small trek remain. You go see life for Lagos today," Chibuzo answered, slapping his shoulder with his usual energy. They walked through a busy street. Hawkers shouting, "Pure water, gala, groundnut," and Okadas weaving recklessly. They passed by loudspeakers blasting music from a roadside beer parlor. Felix could smell fried akara, roasted corn, and smoke from suya stands mixing with the stench of blocked drainage. Finally, they turned into a narrow street. Houses lined both sides, tall and old, with cracked walls and rusted zinc roofs. At the entrance of one compound, children were running barefoot. Women bent over small stoves cooking, and men sat on benches drinking sachet gin. "Now here I dey stay," Chibuzo said proudly, pushing the big iron gate that squeaked in protest. Felix dragged his bag inside, expecting maybe a small flat, or at least a self-contained. But when they entered the corridor, he saw row after row of doors facing each other. The famous face me, I face you. The air was hot, heavy with the smell of kerosene, fish stew, and sweat. Chibuzo led him to a wooden door at the far end, knocked twice, then pushed it open. "Make we enter." The moment Felix stepped inside, his eyes widened. The room was small, just enough for 2 people comfortably. But inside, 6 young men were already there, lying on mats and mattresses squeezed together, some half naked because of the heat. Clothes hung from ropes across the ceiling. A small television sat on one corner, balancing on a broken stool, and a tiny fan struggled to turn. "Guy, abeg shift, make I pull my bag," Chibuzo shouted at one of them, kicking a plastic basin aside. "Who be this one?" one of the boys asked, looking at Felix from head to toe. "Na my paddy from Enugu, graduate. Na him go dey run with us now," Chibuzo said. Felix blinked, shocked. "Chibuzo, wait oh! You mean all of una dey stay here? 6 of una?" Chibuzo laughed loudly, throwing his arm around Felix's shoulder. "My brother, welcome to Lagos. Now na 7 of us. This room dey always full, but it is sweet like that." Felix couldn't believe it. He looked around again. 3 guys shared one mattress. Another had spread a wrapper on bare floor, and someone was already snoring loudly, though it wasn't even 9 p.m. Yet everyone looked comfortable, like this was normal life. One of the boys, skinny with tribal marks, introduced himself. "My name na Emeka. Forget say we plenty here, we dey manage. Na so Lagos be. Tomorrow you go adapt." Another guy, light-skinned with braided hair, added, "Na true oh. No complaint for Lagos. If you want survive, you got to manage." Felix managed a small laugh, though inside he felt a knot in his stomach. Back home in Enugu, he had his own small room in his father's house. But here, he had to share air with 6 strangers in one tiny space. He whispered to Chibuzo when they sat on the edge of one mattress. "But Chibuzo, why you not tell me before? You talk say you dey fine for Lagos." Chibuzo grinned, shaking his head. "My brother, if I tell you truth, you for no come. Lagos na survivor. Everybody dey hustle. Forget the suffering. Na here better life dey. All we need na to hustle strong. You go see money." The other boys burst into laughter, one of them raising a bottle of cheap gin. "Felix, no worry. By next week, you go begin enjoy. Na only Lagos dey like this. Na here life dey happen." They all cheered, as if sleeping 7 in one small hot room was a victory. Felix forced a smile, but inside, he was worried. Was this the Lagos his friend promised me? The Lagos of opportunity, or just a life of endless struggle? That night, as he lay squeezed between Chibuzo and Emeka on the same mattress, Felix couldn't sleep. The room was hot. The fan barely worked. Mosquitoes buzzed, and the snoring of 2 of the boys filled the air. He stared at the ceiling, listening to the city sounds outside, the blaring horns, shouts, and music. He thought to himself, is this the beginning of my new life, or the beginning of my suffering? But he didn't know. The real shock of his Lagos journey hadn't even started. The next morning came with noise before dawn. From outside the compound, women selling pap were already shouting, "Akamu hot, akara fresh." Children ran barefoot to fetch water, and someone was arguing by the gate about who stole their bucket. Felix had barely slept. His body was stiff from sharing a mattress with 2 other grown men. The fan had stopped working at midnight when NEPA took light, and the mosquitoes had feasted on him like it was a festival. "Felix, stand up. No dey sleep like village boy." Chibuzo's voice boomed as he tapped him hard. "Today you go learn hustle proper, na Lagos we dey."
Felix yawned, dragged himself up, and followed as the boys prepared. They splashed water from plastic buckets, wore faded jeans and slippers, and stepped out into the already busy street. By 7 a.m., they were back at Ojota Park, where Oga Sunday's downfall was already loading. The shouting was louder in the morning
Ageje
rush.
bread.
Conductors pulled passengers. Hawkers balanced trays of bread and sachet water on their heads, and policemen in brown uniforms looked around collecting settlement. Felix stood to one side, watching Lagos come alive like a wild animal. He still felt overwhelmed. Then Chibuzo whispered,
My guy, today you go enter bus go small run, no fear, na simple walk.
What kind work?
To follow carry passengers.
but sometimes opportunity go show. You got sharp. Lagos know they smile. Felix didn't fully understand, but he nodded. Later in the afternoon, Oga Sunday sent Felix and Chibuzo to run one quick trip with another bus. The driver was not Oga Sunday this time, but a man they called Chairman. His eyes were small and sharp, his voice low and commanding. The bus looked like every other downfall, yellow paint fading, wooden seats creaking, sliding door half broken. Enter, Chairman backed. Felix squeezed himself inside. But immediately he noticed something strange. The passengers inside were too quiet. 3 men in the back seat had stern faces and didn't look like normal commuters. A woman with heavy makeup sat by the window, but she didn't look relaxed. Her eyes darted everywhere. Chibuzo leaned to Felix's ear and whispered, Wane, shine your eyes. This one no be normal bus. Before Felix could ask questions, the bus moved. They didn't even stop to pick new passengers. Yet the conductor kept shouting destinations. CMS, Obalende Strait, enter quick. But nobody new entered. The bus sped along the expressway, swerving dangerously. Suddenly, one of the quiet men at the back pulled out a small knife and waved it. Everybody quiet. If you talk, you die here. Felix's heart jumped to his throat. He had heard about one-chance buses before, criminals who pretend to be commercial drivers only to rob their passengers. But now, he was inside one. The woman with makeup began to cry softly. Another man beside Felix froze like stone. Bring your phones, your money, your ATM card, the man with the knife shouted. His 2 partners joined, one slapping a passenger hard, the other collecting belongings. Felix's hands shook. He reached into his pocket slowly, bringing out his small Nokia phone. It was almost all he had. One of the robbers grabbed it and hissed, Nonsense phone, where your wallet? Felix stammered, I no get, na only transport money remain. The robber slapped him across the face. You dey mad? You think say we dey pile? Tears stung Felix's eyes, but he bit his lips. His mind raced. Was this how Lagos would swallow him on his second day? Suddenly, one of the robbers turned to Chibuzo. You, conductor boy, bring your own. But something unexpected happened. Chibuzo smiled faintly and tapped the man on the shoulder. Relax, Nami, bring this my guy. He be new fish. We go sort am later. The robber frowned, then nodded. Felix's eyes widened. What did Chibuzo mean by that? Did he know these people? The bus kept moving. Passengers were stripped of cash, phones, wristwatches. The woman with makeup begged them not to hurt her. Finally, after almost an hour of fear, the bus slowed near an isolated part of the highway. The robbers pushed the robbed passengers out roughly. If we see una face again na death, one of them shouted. Felix turned sharply to Chibuzo. Chibuzo, wetin just happened? You sabi those people? Chibuzo looked away, scratching his head. My brother, Lagos na survivor. Sometimes na like this it dey be. No vex, you go understand later. Felix's chest tightened. His own friend, the person he trusted, was somehow connected to one chance. The other stranded passengers began to scatter, trekking back toward the main road. Felix followed slowly, his mind heavy. Was this the Lagos of opportunity? Or had he entered a city that only knew how to cheat, rob, and break men down? He didn't have the answer yet, but one thing was certain. The city had just shown him its teeth, and it was only the beginning. The evening after the one-chance ride, Felix could not eat.
The boys in the room were laughing, drinking sachet gin, and playing loud music from the small television. But Felix sat quietly in a corner, staring at his hands. His palms were still shaking from the memory of the knife flashing before his eyes. "Felix, why you dead dull?" one of the boys, Emeka, asked, chewing roasted groundnut noisily. Felix forced a small smile. "I dey okay." But inside, his heart was in turmoil. He kept replaying the moment when Chibuzo spoke to the robber like an old friend. The way they nodded at each other. The way Felix's phone was taken but Chibuzo remained untouched. That night, as 7 bodies squeezed together in the hot room, Felix couldn't sleep again. The snores, the heat, the mosquitoes, all of them pressed into his skin. But what weighed heavier was the question in his heart. Who exactly is Chibuzo? The next morning, Felix woke up early and stepped outside to get fresh air. He watched as women swept the compound with short brooms, children fetched water, and men argued over football. Lagos looked normal again, but he no longer trusted it. Chibuzo came out stretching. "Felix, my guy, today we dey go hustle again. Now so we dey do every day. Life no dey wait." Felix swallowed, then asked quietly, "Chibuzo, yesterday, those one chance people, you sabi them?" Chibuzo froze for a moment, then gave a small laugh. "Nwane, you too dey reason. Forget them. Na Lagos be that." But Felix didn't laugh. He stared straight into his friend's eyes. Finally, Chibuzo sighed and pulled him aside, away from the others. His voice dropped. "My brother, I go tell you truth. If I no tell you, you no go understand how Lagos dey run. Yes, I sabi them. Them be my people." Felix's chest tightened. "Your people? You mean you dey work with them?" Chibuzo nodded slowly. "See, Felix, no vex, but na survival. This Lagos no dey give food to anybody wey no sharp. You think say conductor work dey pay? Abeg, na small change. But this one chance business, na there money dey. We no dey kill people o, we just collect wetin dem get. Na hustle." Felix stepped back, his stomach turning. "Hustle? You dey call am hustle? You dey thief people own, you dey make them suffer, and you dey call am hustle?" Chibuzo's face hardened. "If you no wan join, no wahala, but no insult my hustle. Na Lagos style be this. You go adapt or Lagos go swallow you." Later that day, when the sun was hot and traffic thick, Chibuzo called Felix aside again. "Felix, listen, you be my brother. I no go lie to you. Oga Tiaman wan see you. If you agree, you go fit join us proper. You go dey collect real money, no more suffering." Felix's throat dried. "Join una to dey rob innocent people?" "Felix," Chibuzo snapped, his voice sharp now. "Not dey reason like bush boy. Everybody for Lagos dey thief one way or another. Some dey thief for office, some dey thief for street. Na the same thing. If you wan chop, you gats thief small." Felix shook his head firmly. "I no fit. I no go join." Chibuzo's eyes narrowed. For the first time since Felix arrived, he saw something dark in his friend's face. That evening, Felix tried to plan his escape. He told himself, "Tomorrow, I go carry my bag and leave this place. Even if I no know where I dey go, I go waka comot." But Lagos was not kind to dreamers. As he packed quietly, Emeka, the skinny boy with tribal marks, entered the room. He spotted the bag and raised his eyebrow. "Felix, where you dey go?" Felix stammered, I wan go see one uncle." Emeka smirked. "Na so e dey start. You wan run, abi?" Before Felix could reply, Chibuzo and 2 others entered the room. Chibuzo's face was cold. "So you wan waka leave us?" Felix swallowed hard. "Chibuzo, abeg, I no fit do this one chance thing. I no fit live this kind life. I just wan find small work, live clean." The room fell silent. Then Chibuzo laughed bitterly. "Clean life? For Lagos, you go die of hunger, Felix. Na me carry you come here. You no go disgrace me." Felix's heart pounded. He realized now that Lagos wasn't just noise, traffic, and survival. Lagos was a trap. That night, Felix lay awake, waking until the others slept. The fan turned slowly. Mosquitoes buzzed and snores filled the air. Quietly, he carried his bag and tiptoed out of the room. He passed through the corridor, past women pounding yam, past men smoking and arguing. His legs shook, but he kept moving until he reached the squeaky gate. As he pushed it open, a voice called from behind. Felix. He froze. It was Chibuzo. The moonlight fell on Chibuzo's face, showing no smile this time, only disappointment. So you go just waka leave me? After everything? Felix's eyes burned with tears. Chibuzo, you be my brother, but I no fit do this. I no fit live this kind life. I just want find small work, live clean. For a long moment, they stared at each other. Then Chibuzo stepped back and waved his hand. Go, but remember, Lagos no dey forgive. One day, you go remember me. Felix didn't wait. He ran out into the night, his bag bouncing in his hand, his heart pounding like drum. He didn't know where he was going or what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing. He would rather suffer clean than survive dirty. Weeks later, Felix found shelter with an old schoolmate in Yaba. Life was still hard. Small jobs here and there, hunger some nights, checking long distances because transport money no dey, but his heart was lighter. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, he would remember Chibuzo's laugh, the small downfall bus, the knife glinting in the dim light. He would shiver, then whisper to himself, Lagos no dey for the faint-hearted, but I must survive my own way. The end.